Secretary, can I just come back to the opening statement made by the Minister that the new concept of national defence underpinning the inaugural National Defence Strategy comprehends the nation's frontline diplomacy underwritten by military capability. So I've compressed that a little bit, but they're the essential elements of that. I'm just interested to get your views on some global actions as we seek to work with partners for peace and security, whether that be in Ukraine or in our region. So the UK Foreign Office, using their diplomacy, publicly called out the Russian Federation for the mining of Ukraine's Black Sea ports, given the threat to civilian ships, the impact on the humanitarian transport of aid to places like Africa, grain, etc., as well as Ukraine's economy. Does DFAT share the concerns about that kind of naval mining, and have they made any representations directly to the Russian Federation or made public statements to a similar way that the UK Foreign Office did?
Senator, I think it's quite a specific question. I'll probably take it on notice.
That's
I
fine.
don't have that information in front of me.
That's fine. Specific question. I'm happy for a short answer. Recently, a Panamanian flagged ship hit a mine in the Black Sea.
Sorry, a
Panamanian
flagged
ship hit a mine in the Black Sea en route to a Ukrainian port to pick up grain, create damage, injured crew, etc. Did DFAT lodge any protests with the Russian Federation?
Again, I'll take that on notice, Senator. I'm not completely sure. I don't have that information in front of me.
So, in response to these,
the approach of, I mean.
So, Senator Wong, I've got a range of questions here.
Yeah, and I have an answer.
I haven't asked you a question, Minister.
Well, but I'm the Minister, so I get to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm just making the point that has been, and this has been one of the strengths of the response to the Russian engagement, a collective approach, primarily, obviously, led by NATO and NATO partners, but obviously individual countries as well, to many of the actions of the Russian Federation. So, we will take on notice what we can in terms of statements that we may have been party to or other diplomatic action that we have in concert been engaged in relation to these issues.
Thank you. In response to things like the Panamanian ship, and that was just one of several, there's a joint Turkish, Romanian and Bulgarian demining activity now been agreed to be run by their navies. Has DFAT indicated support for this action either publicly or directly to those three nations?
Senator,
you can take it on notice or just say no. I don't mind.
Yeah, we're aware of that initiative, but in terms of further details,
sure, that's fine.
Take it on notice.
Yeah. But again, I'd make the point, Senator. That there is a great deal of coordination and requests or engagement from NATO partners when they want other countries, other entities to take particular actions. So we will take that on notice, but we, given where we are, the approach we take is to seek to work collectively and in concert with other partners and coordinate with our allies and friends in relation to this.
So the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr Miles, when he was announcing the National Defence Strategy, emphasised the importance of maritime trade to Australia, highlighting that it's worth nearly 45% of our GDP, highlighted particularly our vulnerability to liquid fuel and the importance of the sea lines of communication in the Indo-Pacific. And he made the comment that we are literally dependent on those sea lines of communication. Does DFAT agree with that assessment?
Yes, Senator.
Okay, thank you. So the Foreign Minister in her opening statement said that diplomacy can signal intent. We have witnessed the Chinese Communist Party using coercive trade measures against Australia, as well as military activities such as rehearsing blockades around Taiwan. We see them building arsenals, for example, compared to the US's 10,000 naval mines. They are estimated to have over 100,000 naval mines, as well as a significant investment in the air, maritime, both surface and subsurface capability to deploy those mines. Does the DFAT consider that this also indicates intent?
Well, Senator, I think the government has been very clear publicly about our concerns of rapid military build-up from China, and have indeed made statements as recently as the weekend at Shangri-La Dialogue of the need for reassurance and explanation of China's intent.
So can I ask...
Sorry, but if I can just say, you might recall, because I know you're very assiduous in this, this is, we have made a number of public comments about China's large-scale military operations in the Taiwan Strait. We've spoken about our deep concern. We know I spoke about this concerning pattern before the most recent exercises in my speech at the ANU, and I again would say peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is in everybody's interests.
Sure, and I think we'd all agree with that. Has DFAT either made any assessment themselves or contributed to any other assessment by other government agencies about the impact of either a blockade of Taiwan or the mining of ports associated with the sea lines of communication that Australia relies on? So that could span Japan, Korea, Taiwan, China itself, even our own ports. So given the capability and the potential intent, have we assessed the impact to our nation in terms of our economy and other measures of the mining of ports associated with the sea lines of communication that the DPM has indicated are critically important to us?
Well, Senator, of course, as you know well, DFAT isn't an assessment agency as such, but obviously we are part of whole-of-government discussions of all kinds of contingency planning, assessment, scenario work, but beyond that I'm not really in a position to comment.
Sure, that's fine. Where my concern is that the opening statement highlights what we're seeing in the National Defence Strategy and borne out in other government budgets such as Defence, where it says that the new concept of national security is that the front line is diplomacy, which is underpinned by military capability. Given the capability we see of someone like the Chinese Communist Party with their naval mine capability, the vulnerability we in our economy have to mined sea lines of communication, given that the most recent reviews and budgets have reduced our anti-submarine capability by 3 ships, our Anzac surface fleet by 2 ships, and have cancelled the upgrades that would keep them a viable capability to protect against assets laying mines in our region. It's reduced offshore patrol vessels by 6 vessels and has completely scrapped C-1905, which is the counter-mining initiative to actually upgrade Australia's counter-mining capability. What diplomatic measures is DFAT putting in place to protect Australia's economy and our ports and our sea lines of communication, given that we no longer have a military capability to underpin them?
Well, first, there are a range of assertions there you I'm sure, will put to defence. Most, I don't think they are all accurate, and they fail to remind us all that your government delivered 2 failed submarine contracts and frankly, a surface fleet set of problems which we are seeking to fix. All right. The second point is if you're suggesting that you don't want diplomacy to be the front line and military should be the front line, then you're actually saying we should be at war.
I'm not suggesting
No,
that, Minister.
and no one wants that. The point is we need to do what we do, we have to use all arms of national power, we have to do what we have to do and need to do diplomatically, which is not just bilaterally but with others about the region and the world we want and exerting pressure, but at the same time strengthening our military capability. That is what the National Defence Strategy is talking about.
Sure.
So no one is suggesting here that somehow one is a substitute for the other. They're not. They each do different things, and as the CDF himself said, they're two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin, and all of our purpose has to be how do we advance and protect Australia's interests and security and prosperity.
So, Minister, my question is
yes.
very specific about what initiatives is DFAT taking around protecting us in terms of the specific threat of mining in ports associated with our sea lines of communication, given that, as widely reported through the budget, in the media, even this week, things like the demining capability has been scrapped, things like the surface capability which the Morrison government had funded for the Transcap, for the Anzac, has been scrapped. If there is no underpinning military capability to react to demining, such as the Bulgarians and the Romanians and the Turkish people are taking in the Black Sea, if we don't have that military capability, what specific actions are we taking from a diplomatic perspective to protect Australia's sea lines of communication?
Well, Senator, I think your questions and your assumptions are fundamentally ones that the Department of Defence is going to no doubt respond to you during its estimates.
In terms of the military
week.
capability, yes, but your contention here is that our frontline is diplomacy underpinned by military.
Well, I think
if the military is not there, what's our frontline offering?
Well, I think, that, as Minister says, it's not a substitute, and you're asking questions really about defence capability.
Well, the thing is, you have a principle which is diplomacy is the front line underpinned by capability, which is like Roosevelt's talk softly but have a big stick. We no longer have a big stick in this specific area of demining, a specific area of demining. So my question is, without that big stick, what are the diplomatic things that will keep Australia safe to the threat?
What we are doing to seek to keep Australia safe in the defence portfolio, I'm sure will be gone through over the subsequent couple of days. And I again remind you that you delivered 2 failed submarine contracts and a delay, and frankly a capability gap until Mr. Miles worked for the United States to resolve that. Secondly, what are we doing to make Australia stronger and safer in the world is that we are seeking to enhance our engagement with other countries and our capacity to work with others to shape the region and the world we want.
Right.
And that, it's the alliance, the region and the rules. That's what we're doing.